Go. Let's go. Talk about let's go. Talk about let's go Mets. Your boy, the one and only nonprofit sector connector. Couple flights up from the attic, 120 miles away from actually where I woke up this morning. Shout out to the Poconos in PA. I made a quick road trip down to Long Island because that's where I had to be, in the attic, to meet with my friend Dylan Zajac this morning. Dylan, just say hello because I got a lot to say even before we get into the show. But Dylan Zajac, founder, executive director, Computers for People. What's up, brother? What's going on?
What's up, Tommy? Tommy, I will tell you, I have never been more excited to be on a podcast.
Stop it. How many
I'm excited. I am so excited to be here.
Dude, you know what? I was a second ago, I was jazzed. Now I'm super jazzed. I'm glad you said that. How many of these have you done?
Just a couple. Okay. Very
All
few.
Right. Well, I will do my best to entertain you as we try to educate some other folks while we do some things here.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
You know, before we do, I got to cover a couple things, and it's going to be very relevant to this conversation you and I are having as I get to the bottom of this. So check this out, gang. Go to NYCImagineAwards.com, New York City Imagine Awards. I've been on the committee since the inception. I've been on the Long Island Imagine Awards committee for, I guess, 6 or 7 years out here. Vanguard Benefits, our agency, sponsors the Long Island Imagine Awards. Shout out to Ken Serini, Kellyanne Serini, and the whole team at the Imagine Awards, my fellow committee members, judges, etc. Here's what I want you to listen to. The Alliant Insurance Services Incorporated Leadership Excellence. The 4 finalists just announced this week are Urban Justice Center, Inspiring Minds NYC, Little Flower, and McCartan Foundation. In the Serini and Associates Social Impact Award, you have the Children's Museum of Manhattan, Durant, which is Generations Helping, and then we have iMentor, which is a client of Vanguard Benefits, Venture House, ironically, another client of Vanguard Benefits. Shout out to the team at iMentor and Venture House. Then you have the Claire Friedlander Family Foundation Arts and Culture Award, Harlem School of the Arts, the New York Foundation for the Arts, Omnium, a bold new circus, and I've interviewed the leader of Omnium on the show here. What a great organization that is. And Young People's Chorus of New York City. Stay tuned, gang. Couple more categories. And the way it was set up, Dylan, it's perfect on the website for our show. So the JP Morgan Chase Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Award, Barrier-Free Living. These are all your finalists, everybody. The big events in October. Barrier-Free Living, Big Brothers, Big Sisters in New York City, Fiverr Children's Foundation, Good Shepherd Services. Then you have the One Group Innovation Awards. Again, Inspiring Minds NYC. I wrote their follow-up essay to be a supplement to their original application. Had a great opportunity to meet with Katrina, the executive director, founder out there, and actually she's coming on the show in a couple weeks. Still in the same category. Sorry, gang. Innovation Award, One Group, Teens for Food Justice, the Brave House, and Yelena Leadership Foundation. Then you have the Your Part-Time Controller YPTC Rising Star Award. You have, I'm going to skip over one. You have the Andromeda Community Initiative. You have Grassroots Grocery. You have Teens for Food Justice. And then you have an organization called Computers for People. My friend Dylan Zajac from Computers for People. That's it, brother. You are a finalist.
We're here. We made it.
We're fired up, man. The big event's in October. I know nothing more than I know who the finalists are. I'm not allowed to know anything else because it's best if I don't know anything else. I got a big mouth. Anyway, so Dylan, let's get into this conversation. Look, when I met you the first day, we did a Zoom meeting. We haven't actually met in person, but I will tell you this. When I was telling my kids, a couple of my kids, I was telling them who's going to be on the show this morning at 5:45 when we were driving home from the Poconos. I was saying, hey, listen, I got to tell you about this young man. He founded this organization. He used to go to thrift shops and computers and all this stuff. I don't know how much of it landed on them, but I know the people that listen to my show. It was early in the morning. Nobody had their coffee. Obviously, I've had some since then. But it was it's stories like yours. It's stories like my friend Sean and Killian Duclay from Sail Ahead that were 15 and 16 years old when they saw an opportunity to found Sail Ahead to take veterans sailing. It's my friend Ray Muller, who I reintroduced you to, who founded the Little St. Nick Foundation out of a vision he had when he was 6, 7, 8 years old because of his experience in the hospital. And I just had an opportunity to talk to Zach Anderson over at Ray's organization because we're going to do a collaboration in December. So you, my friend, inspired me. The work you're doing, the fact that you drive up and down from Hoboken to Massachusetts and all the stuff we're going to talk about today, that's inspirational. Young people, older people, old people, listen to me. If you want to do the thing, just do the thing. Forget about your age and all the nonsense and shenanigans and what outsiders might say. Just do the freaking thing. Dylan, What is the thing that you started to do? Why did it happen? Tell me. Thrift shop, Brooklyn. Let's do it, baby. Let's
Let
get
me
it.
tell you the thing. I'll tell you the thing. Okay. So my name's Dylan Zajac. I founded the nonprofit Computers for People back when I was 15 as a sophomore in high school. And it all started because I was just so interested in business. Like since I was a little kid, I would sell, Pokemon cards, I would sell tattoos, whatever it was. And then from there, I started a YouTube channel. It was engulfed in like filmmaking and this sort of stuff, live streaming, mostly video games, but then got into more comedy and all that stuff. That was like my dream, is to be a YouTuber. My dream came to an end like 6 years in, after finding a new passion, which was going with my friends to thrift shops in New York City. We would go on the subway to these different thrift shops, buy old computers. These thrift shop owners knew nothing about the equipment we were buying. So we could kind of like take a computer that was worth $100 and go up to them. It was probably priced at like $10. It'd be like, there's no way this is worth $10. And then we would get it for like $5. And then we would pile them all up on our skateboards, take them back on the subway, fix them up a little bit, and sell them on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, make 1,000% profit. Doing that. And that was like the real start of it. Is like, hey, wow, there's all these computers in the world, and where are they going?
Yeah.
I started talking to these thrift shop owners, and the thrift shop owners told me that tons of companies don't know how to get rid of their old computers, so a lot would end up in the landfill, getting burned and leaking toxic chemicals into the air. And then there's a completely different side, which my stepmom told me about, which was like the nonprofit and the side where people don't have access to computers. So there's all these being thrown away, but then tons of people don't have access. So that was like the light bulb moment for me. I was like, wow, I can collect all these computers, refurbish them, and donate them to people in need. And that's where it all started.
You start to solve multiple problems. Like that's what I'm hearing. Like this is one of those like, win-win-win all the way around type things, which we're going to get into a lot of that today. It's funny though. I mentioned, I don't know if my kids will listen to me, but I was, when we were coming home this morning, I said to my son, I tell him about you, and he goes, did you know this guy like a couple months ago? I said, well, I met him recently. We haven't met, you and I, in person, but we've done some Zooms. And I said, well, why do you ask that? And he goes, don't you remember, like, my buddy and I picked up that computer? And I said, yeah, but you picked up a computer in front of somebody's house, and then you left it in our backyard, and it rained on it 3 times. So even if I could call Dylan, don't tell me it could have been good, because we got rid of it anyway. But he's like, well, why didn't we? And I go, dude, but now he knows about it. So he's 13. So now he's thinking about like how he can be part of the solution. My kids have had the benefit of, not to be too arrogant to say the benefit of me being their dad, but no, they've had the benefit of seeing me do a lot of work in the nonprofit sector. They've had the benefit of going out and being involved in the nonprofits, because as soon as I said something about a young guy founding a nonprofit, he goes, oh, that's your buddy with the sailboats, right? With the veterans. So this is they're brainwashed in a good way for that's being done, and and I have a lot of questions for you, but I want to understand, you said, it's your mom or your stepmom that's involved in a nonprofit, right? Am I right about that? So
Yeah.
So did you understand nonprofit? Were you aware of what she was doing? Like, how did that conversation start to happen where you realized, hey, this is fun? I mean, I have a bunch of questions about the Pokemon. Maybe we'll get back into that. But it's where you said, this is a fun thing my friends and I like to do. We're making some money, negotiating and beating up on these thrift store guys. The guy's trying to make $10, you're beating him for $5. You're just killing the guy. We are hardcore negotiation.
You got it for free.
So he won anyway. So whatever he made was a win anyway, man. It was sitting on the shelf. I remember I was on 2nd Avenue one time, right? There used to be these antique shops, and I bought this. It's actually over there. It's like a statue. It's like a brass statue.
Okay.
And this was like an antique shop where I think I don't know why, I was working in the city at the time, and I would go in these antique shops every so often, and I wasn't trying to be a shrewd negotiator, but nobody goes into these stores, right? So if you go in there, they think they got like a fish on the hook, and if you make it to the door and start to walk down the street, the price that was 100 is 60, then it's 40, then it's 30. By the time you're halfway up the block, the guy just wants to give it to you for $5. So I wasn't even trying to negotiate, but I ended up getting a lot of stuff out of that. So look, they see you in the store. They probably wanted to move it. Like, let me get some green out of this kid's pocket, and then he can have the computer. Speaking of green, we're going to talk about that vest in a couple minutes. But, I want to know what it was for you that you said, nonprofit. Wow, there's people that need computers, and there's these companies that need to get rid of that. Why did it become your mission to be the guy who's going to solve a lot of these problems?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest factors as a kid was so there's like my stepmom who worked in nonprofits, and then my real mom who took me to all these different volunteering, events as a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, I have stepmom and real mom.
But again, both sound mission.
Both are extremely mission-driven people that want to help the world and do so much work in their local community, and that really I definitely absorbed that as a kid, right? So we would always we would be going and painting stuff in hospitals to hang up. We would be doing food drives and all these different volunteering activities, which honestly, as a kid, I was it was awesome. But I was I feel like I can do so much more. Where's this? We would collect all this food, and then it would go into a place with an insane amount of food. And then we would hear from the people that ran the food shelter that there are all these other problems. Yeah. How do we distribute this food? How do we make it equitable? All these different ideas, so that when I actually got to there's so many computers in the world that are being thrown out, and there's so many that people don't have access to, I was like, wait a second, I could actually do something that I really enjoy, build a business around helping people and make a real difference in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing as you're saying that story, everybody, this is what if you close your eyes and you listen to that story, I see you being a bridge, right? You're the conduit, you're the connection, you're the logistics to get these computers that are all but worthless, right? Going into a landfill, ending up on a thrift store shelf for a guy to skateboard to come in and purchase. But really, you saw, hey, there's a need, right? And I can be that bridge, right? Is that because that's what I'm hearing you say, is you said, well, now I can solve this problem by it's not as simple as it sounds. It's not just pick up the computer and give it to somebody who needs it. Obviously, we're going to go into that today on what it is you all do. But it's really, I think at its core, it's a logistical situation. It's moving a product from one side to the other. Isn't that right?
I think everything that we're doing at Computers for People is a logistical technology problem, and a connection problem. Yeah. What we do is partner with 500 nonprofits that nominate people in need to get a computer. 500 nonprofits serving who knows how many communities. Yeah. Along with partnering with over 1,000 computer donors. And it's getting those donors, getting the computer, refurbishing it, cleaning it, and then getting it to the exact person that needs it. So it's all a logistics technology, but at its core, a connection problem. That's the whole problem with the digital divide. It's a connection problem. It's having access.
Wow. So from a technology perspective, are we talking about you have some kind of CRM where you're tagging every piece of equipment that comes through your system, right? Is it talk to me about that?
Yeah. Since the beginning, I've been thinking about this. How do we make this the most efficient process possible, right? And to do that, we needed to build I built an inventory system myself. We built a CRM system. They all integrate to each other. And we're not even there yet, but there's all these ideas around how we can get it to the point where we're almost at the point where someone donates a computer, and then a week later they get sent an email saying, hey, your computer went to this person and made this impact.
Really?
And very soon we're going to get there. And that's through incredible technology.
Now, it didn't make sense when you went out to the marketplace to look at something that might have been there. You felt it made more sense, you and the team, to build something in-house?
Totally. I was just at the biggest electronic recycling conference in the world. Yeah. I just got back last night, and I saw a lot of the inventory systems there, and they were let's just say it looked like they were built in the 1990s.
Really?
But for what we're doing, it's so unique.
Yes.
It's so different that it needs a custom solution.
I love it. Who knows? And, I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you're in business school right now. And, maybe that solution won't just be your solution, but maybe that becomes an industry standard that you can then sell to the marketplace, right? I'm sure that's something you guys talk about.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ideas here. What if there was a blockchain solution where we can track, technology from where it was made, like all the way to like where the cobalt is coming from, to the manufacturer, to the end of life, the circular economy, to who it went to at the end, and then where it went back to and how those pieces got broken up, and what they got turned into next, right?
I love it. You know what I'm fired up about, man? That I get to be a witness to what the work you're doing, man. I get to watch what you're going to do over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because we're going to stay connected. And I'm fired up about that, because in the small amounts of conversations that you and I've had so far, leading up to today, I'm like, wow, this kid is super smart. He's got a vision. I was even explaining to my kids this morning how you chose, when you had the opportunity, we'll get into this today, but why this is a nonprofit and not a for-profit, because you shared that piece of information with me, and I was like, almost cried when you told me that. Why would Tommy D cry? Because I was touched. All right, so we'll be right back. This is a quick break. Dylan Zajac, Computers for People, and the one and only nonprofit sector connector. We'll be right back. Philanthropy and Focus.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Join Tommy in his attic. Join Tommy in his attic. All right, maybe we'll sing. Maybe
Where did you get all this music from? Where was that? Where was the intro song from?
So that's actually like the bed for my little theme song there, my little jingle. My buddy Brendan Levy of the Queens Chamber of Commerce, which we're going to get you wired in over there. In fact, I'm going to be out Tuesday night. I'm going to be out with them at the Met game. But the Queens Chamber of Commerce, I do a lot of work with Brendan Levy, who manages business development, the CEO, Tom Gretsch. So much going on in Queens, which, there's a whole Queens Tech Council. Dylan, we got to talk about, actually, let's put a pin in that. Lewis, I know you're listening. Make a note of that. Queens Tech Council. Thanks, Lewis, for all the work in getting Dylan and I together today. Appreciate Lewis on your team. We're going to talk a bit about your team today, because I know how important your team is to you and really to the vision of the company and the organization. But to answer your question, my friend Brendan Levy and we wrote the lyrics of that song. Nonprofits need connections to move in the right directions. So cut through all the static, join Tommy in his attic. And now, like, my younger son loves to sing that song and make up.
Is it on Spotify?
That's all of this stuff is on Spotify. This episode is going to be on Spotify. The song is the whole song. That 5 or 9 seconds or whatever it takes when we come back from break. That's the whole song. Okay. We never wrote any more. It was just that. That was all we wrote. But I was thinking, I've been telling people, I'm big into the reggae, man. So I think we're gonna need a reggae version of the Philanthropy and Focus song. So we got to work some stuff out. So more to come on all that. But you know what, Dylan? We should probably get you a Computers for People theme song. We'll work that out, man.
Hey, I need that. I've been talking to people. I had my cousins working on it for a while.
Really?
They were texting me. They're like, "Hey, we want to make you a theme song." So I was like, "Hey, go for it."
Dude, you need
And they've been asking me for advice on it. They just keep asking me for advice like every couple of weeks on like how it should sound. I'm like, just like go for it. I still haven't gotten a first version of it yet.
Are they musicians or what?
No, they're like they're very young. I don't think they're musicians, but
Hey, listen, you know what? What I learned about creativity is because like for like 35 or 36 years, I was telling myself, I'm a salesman, right? I didn't think of myself in a creative mindset. But I believe we're all creatives, man. I really believe that. And this is the 172nd or 173rd episode of something that was an idea, Dylan. It was just an idea, just like your organization was just an idea. You saw the pieces and you said, I'm going to solve a problem right here. So maybe we'll talk to Uncle Brendan. That's my Uncle Brendan Levy. Maybe have him write a song for you, and we'll give your cousins credit for it. How about that?
That would be great. And I think one of the coolest parts of that is like my cousins don't need to be musicians to like become musicians, right? Like all they need is an internet connection. And
100%.
like I learned all these songs on the guitar just from, a YouTube video. And just imagine if you didn't have access to a YouTube video or all that stuff, like what you couldn't do.
YouTube is the absolute shout out to YouTube. They don't sponsor the show because no one sponsors the show at this point. I sponsor the show.
They're streaming the show though. They're showing the world.
We are on YouTube. No, I listen. Sometimes like my wife will say, how long to the kids? How long you been on that device? How long you been on that device? Right. So we look at my device sometimes and I'm on my device for like 10 hours a day. But honestly, do you know how much YouTube I'm consuming? It's probably 90% of that is me consuming YouTube. And it's not about election stuff or none of that nonsense. It's about like learning. Dude, if I don't know how to do something, I don't Google it. I YouTube it because I want to watch. Like, I'm sure, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you might have even told me this. When you all were rebuilding these computers, where'd you learn how to do a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, it was all YouTube. There's millions of videos on like how to fix computers. It's way more simple than you think. It's all like a Lego set, right?
Yeah,
you just look up the exact model, like how to replace the battery in a X2, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then boom, you learn how to do it. And all you got to get is a screwdriver and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that.
You could also use that for evil too.
100% because it's all there. But I always, not always, because I don't want to say that, but oftentimes when I put things together, there's extra pieces. And I don't think the company sent extra pieces, brother. I think I just forgot to put them all in. So like in our house, like if we get a piece of furniture, like back in the day before we had kids, we'd go to IKEA a lot. When my wife and I first got married, we'd go to IKEA and she like put the IKEA and all the different stuff. She's like nasty when it comes to putting stuff together. She's really good. I'm less good at these things. Mm-hmm. But like when I do accomplish something like that, it's a big win for me, man. Like I think we got to celebrate our wins all the time, Dylan. Like even like in an organization like yours, right? You've referred to in our conversations as your organization as a startup, right? Because you're a startup, you happen to be a nonprofit organization, right? Yeah. But in startup, like I have some friends who run some startups, and there's a lot of mistakes, or maybe not mistakes, but there's a lot of failures, a lot of things that go the right way. I'm going to take that word back, mistake, because it's not a mistake. It's just an opportunity. We realize, okay, that's not the way. That's not the way to do that, right? So you run up against a lot of that. I have to assume a lot of iterating, a lot of trying stuff out, right? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, I had to deal with some major areas where things went totally wrong, and like the organization almost died, right at the start. Yeah. Like I'm just thinking about when I was in high school, I was graduating high school. A lot of people were like, okay, so what happens when you go to college, right? You're going to get a girlfriend. You're going to like go to college. You're not going to want to do this anymore. And I was like, that was the opposite of what I was thinking, the complete opposite. I was like, how do I make this thing live way past when I go to college? And how do I do this full time while I'm in college? While being, 250 miles away in Boston.
Yeah. Those are well-meaning people though, but like, you know what? We appreciate you. We love you, but like, don't get in somebody's way when they got the real stuff going on. You know what I mean? Dylan, like they will just like try to say, hey man, maybe, you know what? You know how many Krebs you need to put in a bucket to keep all the crabs in the bucket. If you put one crab's able to get out, right? If you put two, the other crab is just going to pull them down. So crabs are like people, and people could be like crabs. Sometimes they're trying to rain on our parade, man. And, you can't do it. You got to put your head down and move forward, right?
Yeah, I've never went crab fishing, but I can get the reference.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, they're very well-meaning people and great people.
Of course.
But that almost like fired me up even more, right?
Yeah. Did you hear this thing? So I'm listening to the sports radio on the way back, right, today, and somehow. So you're originally a Jersey kid or New York City?
I'm a Hoboken kid. I live in both worlds.
All right. So do you root for any specific sports? Do you have a particular team that you're into?
Not team. I play sports.
All right,
I don't watch sports, though.
All right, that's cool. All good. But you know who Patrick Mahomes is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. And apparently one of these other teams had like a Kermit the Frog. This is all over the radio this morning. Had like a Kermit the Frog because they say his voice sounds like Kermit the Frog, I guess. But it was like dressed up like a stuffed animal, dressed up like with a Mahomes jersey on. And they just keep poking this guy. I'm going, you know what that does? They didn't like physically poke the Kermit the Frog, but I mean just messing with this guy. Dude, the guy's gonna win another friggin' Super Bowl. Like that's what happens. Like it's like, look, I'm a New York guy, right? Everybody, I love Tom Brady. I said it here. I love Tom Brady. I love that guy, the GOAT, because these guys, you just fire people up. So in your case, maybe that was more fuel to your fire for Computers for People and make this a thing, right? Just people saying, hey man, maybe you're gonna give up or whatever, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that was like all of my motivation, but that definitely fires you up a little bit, and you're like, well, yeah, I can use this fire for good. Why not? It only helps. So that was like, I had like 6 months to make this thing build this up to the point where it could run on its own without me physically here. And I applied for like tons and tons of grants. There were 3 big ones that I was applying for that I was like, we need to get one of these 3 big ones to keep Computers for People alive.
What does that mean? Because you weren't going to be here to do it. So would you mean to pay staff and pay for a place and all that kind of stuff?
Exactly. We needed to hire a staff member, at least one staff member to like take the computers in, manage the volunteers, all of that.
Yeah.
Along with the space and all the supplies needed to do this sort of operation.
So it was probably for you because you have years of grant writing. So it was probably no big deal for you to get those grants, right?
Yeah, no big deal. No, that's the complete opposite of what happened. I applied for these 3. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get all 3 of these. First one comes back, denied. Second one comes back, denied. Third one comes back, denied. And then I was like, okay, what do I do now? Yeah. I was like, this, like, I don't have any money. There's this thing, like we had an office space too. We had all these computers. It's like, I need to make this work. Yeah. So like maybe 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks before I went to college for the first time. I was like, okay, I'm having a fundraiser event at this bar. I can't drink, but I'm just gonna like go there and tell them like we're having a bar, we're doing open bar. And then I was like, okay, I got to sell 100 tickets to this event and get some big sponsors. And within like 2 weeks, we sold over 100 tickets. We got the mayor of the town there. We had all these people there, and we raised $30,000 in one night. And that like solidified, like, okay, we can make this work. We hired someone within like a week, and then he started working, and he worked for Computers for People for like 2 years. And
that was so. But you had to kind of shore things up because you were going away to school too. So we're gonna take a break now. But when we come back, so you're shoring things up. This thing's going to exist, right? And you're at the time you're 18, 17 and change, 18, whatever, going away to school. How old are you now?
I'm 21 now.
21. So we got a lot of story left. I mean, not even what's going to happen in the future, which we'll talk about towards the end of the show, where you're going to go, how big this is. Because I mean, you're solving the world's problems. That's what I believe. Gang, I get to hang out with people who solve the world's problems. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on TalkRadio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Back in the day, you know, like episode 1 through 10 of this program, I used to threaten my guests that they were going to have to sing the jingle when we would come back. You know, that
I'm ready. I already have it memorized.
I did. It's a tough one to memorize, man. I will tell you, you know, my buddy Mick Collins checking in on I don't know where he's checking in on YouTube, and he's making a comment about, you know, that he thinks a great theme song for you would be Imagine, you know, as in like in the John Lennon song. And he also, you know, he mentions, but not a parody though, something that's real. And because you are changing the world, imagine all the people that get a computer in their hands that needed one because of the work that you and your volunteers and your team are doing. So that's incredibly important. But I want to talk parody real quick. My younger son likes to parody my song. He likes to he's 9. He's Tommy D's son. So you can imagine he likes to give me the business a little bit, you know, so he messes with me with this song. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. So this young man was 15 years old when he founded this organization. He has put, with his team and his volunteers, 3,000 computers in the hands of people who need them. Not to mention, though, there's also obviously all these partnerships, 500 different nonprofits, 1,000 different supply sources that you're getting these computers from, like we're going to talk about. But it's also, to me, it's also training. I remember there was a big part when we had our discussion around, you know, when I interviewed you for the Imagine Awards, it was about the training that goes along. It's not just a piece of equipment, right? But there's some education and stuff. So we can get into that soon too. But let's get right back to where we were. You're 18. You got to figure this thing out. You raised 30 grand. The company is going to be sustainable, albeit 30 grand is not $1 million. So how long was it going to be sustainable, right? We got to keep priming.
Not very long.
Right. You got to keep priming that pump, right? So what happened? So you're going away to school. Let's go.
Yeah. So I was going away to school, and I think this is one thing that like I'm so grateful for, is like going to school and being forced to make this thing sustainable without me, right? And that's been my mindset like the entire time, is like, how do I get computers for people to the point where it's like a well-run, oiled machine where it can, like, that's the only way to actually grow a nonprofit and get it to somewhere where it's not just founders led, right? Because I know
that's such a blessing, man, because like there's a big thing in the nonprofit space called founder syndrome. I'm sure it happens in for-profit with startups and things like that too. But the fact that you are building this organization to stand on its own, no disrespect, but with or without you, is a game changer, right? Because then it's going to long last the level of impact, right?
Yeah, I mean, what happens if I die tomorrow, right? Does the whole organization just crumble?
Right.
That's just like, you have to think that way, or else like you're not going to build a sustainable organization, because one day, you know, the founder is not going to be able to do their job anymore. And that shouldn't be the reason that a whole organization should collapse. Like, no, because I think the whole point of business is like build a company that is able to run itself.
So where do you go to school? Tell us that, and tell us what you're studying in school.
Yeah, I go to Babson College up in Wellesley, Massachusetts, studying business and entrepreneurship. So, you know, all over the place in terms of marketing, finance, all that stuff.
Yeah.
over at school. Yeah.
So I know this because we've talked about it, but how much has the work you do at school informed the work you do, and vice versa? How much has your experience in this founding and running this organization given you practical understanding and knowledge to what you're learning out of a textbook? You guys still have textbooks in college? We had textbooks when I was in college.
I think we do. I don't read any of them. So I'm pretty sure we do. But
well, whatever your iPad or wherever the words are that you're reading.
Yeah. What I will say is running an organization, you won't learn more about how to run a company than running and failing over and over again. That's where I've learned the absolute most. Yeah. And I think learning like quickly is like running the organization every day. I face a new challenge. What I do learn in college, which is beneficial, is one, I think the connections you make in college and like socializing, like building emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Like college is amazing for that. And meeting new people that you would never meet before, like my professors and all the connections that they've made to other people are amazing.
So connections that they have made for you and C4P, is that right?
Correct. Yeah. It's really cool at Babson. There's a lot of professors that like were big time entrepreneurs, started massive Fortune 500 companies, and then after that they're like, hey, I'm not really fulfilled in my life. Like these are people that are like hungry to make insane amount of money and change the world, and they're like, I'm not fulfilled with building a Fortune 500 company. Let me go and teach at a university because I want to inspire the next generation. So those are like the type of professors that, I get to learn from and connect with. It's more like the connecting after class. Like I'm not good at just absorbing information. I'm usually like thinking about, how to get computers or something like that. But yeah, it's connecting after class and, showing them how our logistics works right now, how our systems are built out, and getting their advice or how to manage a team.
Right? They must dig that whole thing, these professors, to just see, like, not to make a big deal about you're young, but you're young, right? And not that you're the only young person that does this, but a lot of I don't know, maybe not at Babson, but a lot of other college students are not really doing stuff, like they might be partying, playing around. Maybe they got, a job at the pizza joint or something like that. Not everybody is running an organization that they founded 6-7 years ago when they were 15 years old, right? I mean, you got to be somewhat of in a smaller group of people, right? A minority there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. It's like small fish, big pond, big fish, small pond. Who knows what that means? But I also I go over to some of the schools in Boston and see some of the startups, kids. I know people that are younger than me that raised, 80 million so far and are building these incredible startups to change the world. Some of them are also not changing the world and they're probably hurting the world.
Well, so that's interesting you bring that up because, I'll tell you, I kind of brag on the fact that, I get to hang out with nonprofit leaders and stuff like that. And, even in our business and Vanguard Benefits, we spend a lot of time in the nonprofit sector. And I think in terms of, when you're in a business, building a business, you can decide you could work with or serve whoever you want to work with. And we made this effort to say we want to work with the nonprofit sector. And every day, I get to spend with nonprofit leaders who are changing the world and are making an impact. And I'm not going to knock or beat up on any other industry, although I've been known to say certain things about other industries. But I'm just saying, generally, you make a choice. And I'd much rather hear from people like you who are actually on the front lines doing the work than somebody who might be, I don't know, I'm going to say it, but like in finance or something like that. And is there really impactful things for human beings that are going on? I'd say maybe not. Anyway, there we go. I made enemies. But but the thing about it is you actually are making a change for people, right? That's a big difference.
Yeah, but I do know a lot of people that are in like finance or in many other professions that are like very mission driven people that they work insane hours on their job and then they take that money that they made there and then go invest it in amazing organizations.
I love that. That's the thing.
That is really impressive to me.
And I dig that, and kudos to those people. So you're right on. They're then taking the fruits of their labor and turning the world into a better place. Home run.
But majority probably aren't. And maybe they want to. Maybe they want to and they don't know how to get into it.
If they want to, if they did want to, you go to computersforpeople.org. If you wanted to make an impact, and you my guy Dylan, and you give him some dough, and he'll help you change the world like that.
Yeah, we can change the world together. All you gotta do is just email me.
That's it. What's your email?
That's all it takes.
Shout it out.
It's should I get Dylan Zajac at computersforpeople.org.
Spell that out. They're not going to get that one. Spell out
DYLANZAJAC at computersforpeople.org.
Perfect. All right. Very good. Very good stuff.
And then we'll change the world together.
Then we'll change the world together, man. Listen, no big deal. No big deal. Just I always say no big deal, just changing the world. That's what I say, because it is a big deal. But I'd say it as a cute thing. I want to understand your vision, and let's talk about this thing about why did you decide? Because look, it's not lost on anybody. Intelligent young man, driven, focused, right? This could have been a business. Strike that. It is a business. This could have been a for-profit business, not a nonprofit organization. If you don't mind me putting you on the spot, because I did when we first met, why?
Yeah, it's a good question. I get the question a lot. Like, why don't you, like, people, even big entrepreneurs tell me, like, this should be a for-profit. Like, you could accelerate this way quicker and, make a lot more money on it. That way you can, be financially sound. I disagree with that. I think I could be financially sound making a nonprofit. And I think when I first started Computers for People, I really didn't know the difference between nonprofit and for-profit, like the real tax implications and all of that, right? I had no idea. But I knew that, like, there was a mission behind Computers for People, and the mission was to provide access to the digital world, provide as many people access as possible. Now, 5 years later, I still completely agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, knowing what a nonprofit versus a for-profit is, and all the legal implications of that. And the real reason is I really don't think anyone should own what I'm going to build here at Computers for People.
Let's pause. Let's because I don't want, when I hear things like that, I want people to really grasp what you're saying. Okay, because that's like a very thoughtful part of what I think makes up your vision, but makes up you as a person. You don't think that it should be owned by anyone. What is that? Expand on that one for me.
Yeah. There's a lot of motivations behind different companies, right? There's increasing the stock price. There's making more, making a bigger and bigger salary. There's changing the world and, a mission. We have a mission. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of companies that are for-profit and have a mission too.
Sure.
But there's always that, like, go back to, like, increasing how much the company's worth.
Yeah.
And I think at Computers for People, like, I have this massive vision of, I want this to be a global organization, bridging the digital divide all over the world and solving the problems of the future. And we even look at, like, a company like OpenAI that started as a nonprofit, and then somehow they, used all these practices to turn into for-profit. Now Microsoft owns it, all this stuff, and they're no longer. There's a lot of issues around AI now. When it was originally made with the mission to prevent what might happen with AI. So I want to keep Computers for People a nonprofit so that we're motivated by the mission, and that's it.
Yeah.
We're not motivated by owning it.
Yeah. You're not motivated by, what was the last part? Of owning it.
By owning it. Yeah.
By owning it. Yeah. Yeah. There's some level, and this is my words, not Dylan's, but there's some level of purity to that, where it's not going to be tainted by, hey, we're going to try to make more dough out of this thing, or, gotta, figure out we're going to sell this thing one day and we're going to turn it around, or we're going to go public, or there's not going to be that in this model. You're never going to have that. So you don't have to kind of serve those masters, right? And you're not going to have, like, VC or angels come in and take a bunch of the company because you needed money to do something, and then they have a different agenda. It's really going to be driven towards the mission. That's what I'm feeling. Is that really what your thoughts are around that too?
100%. It's 100% mission driven. We have a mission, we have a goal. How do we get to that goal? And that's all we think about all day.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so that's all we think about, not Dylan, but the team. So when we come back, we'll take a quick break. I want to know what you all think about all day. And I think it's the future probably, but I want to know, what does it look like, your vision of the future? And let's talk a little bit about the team and stuff like that. So vision and team when we come back, Philanthropy and Focus, Dylan Zajac, Computers for People, right back.
Cool.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Join me in my attic every single Friday morning. I'm going to only do this show for the rest of my life. I'm going to do 5,000. After that, I can't promise anything. I plan on doing 5,000 episodes of this show. Eventually, we're going to do the show Monday through Friday in the morning because I like to start my day feeling good, and nothing makes me feel better than hanging out with nonprofit leaders. I was just chatting in the little chat, like, you know, gang, I always wondered what the talk show host and the guests were talking about. Like when Conan O'Brien leans in and talks to like Johnny Depp when they go to commercial break. And I'm like, oh, I want to be part of that conversation. So I'm going to let you all in on a little part of my conversation with Dylan. He's like, let's talk about some things in the future. What's upcoming? And his response to me is, yeah, we got to talk about Pepperfest. So right quick, I Google, what is he talking about? I don't Google, like, I don't type in what is he talking about, but I found the website. So I'm going to share it right quick. This is actually going to be October 5th from 1 to 5 in Hoboken. What the heck are you talking about, Dylan Zajac? I'll share the website. What is going on, man?
So we have some really great and inspiring volunteers here at Computers for People, and one of them is a guy named Sasha Chavez.
Okay.
And Sasha, Sasha, a couple of years ago started telling me that he's growing peppers in his apartment in Hoboken, like really spicy pepper, like Carolina Reaper type. Okay. Peppers.
Like you're in trouble if you eat one of these seeds or you bite the pepper kind of stuff. Like
you're having a rough couple days if you
days.
Possible, yeah.
Maybe. Oh my god! All right,
you're having a rough couple days. So he shows me this video of a pepper eating competition.
Okay.
Of like rounds where it's a spicier and spicier pepper every single time, and then people tap out.
Yeah, so you go as far as you can go, and then you tap out. Okay.
Exactly. So, and then the last person alive, gets a prize.
It's timeout, flag on the play. Okay. The last person alive, do people die, Dylan? What are we talking about here?
People have you ever seen like a UFC match?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. So the guy like tap out. Like, have you ever seen this other thing? You've seen this craziness on the internet where people do like slap contests?
Slap contests.
Dude, do you see that? Like
this is more intense than a slap contest.
Oh my god! All right, so tell me about it.
It's a must-see event.
Well, must see. So I see these costumes. I see people wearing cool pepper hats. I see people dressed up like a pepper. Like I can get down with that. I will tell you this: I don't have a couple or 2 or 3 days to be sick from eating peppers. So I'll come and hang out on.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing though. You might not have 2 days, but
Right.
there's a lot of people that have 2 days and want to eat those spicy peppers.
I'm digging it. I'm going to be there. I'll make sure I'm there on October 5th. I'm just saying, I'm not going to be. Don't try to convince me, brother. I'm not doing it.
I won't unless you want to.
No, I don't. I definitely don't.
There's plenty of people that want to be in the competition and think that they can win.
That's insane, right? So people, because there's people that think it's never hot. It's never hot enough, man. Never hot enough, man. Put more sauce, right? Like
they figure it out. These Hoboken peppers?
So
Hoboken peppers are hot.
So who is Sasha? Is he a volunteer? Like, how do you connect with him?
He's a volunteer. He works at the Hoboken Library. He's been a family friend actually since I was like 5 years old.
So let me ask you, aside from growing the peppers, sorry to cut you off, but aside from growing them, is he like it hot? Does he like the peppers, or is he just, growing?
He loves the peppers. He is King Pepper. He dresses up as a pepper, and we gave him a pepper suit, and he walks around Hoboken wearing that pepper suit. Like if you come to Hoboken, you might see him walking around.
Oh, just like regular on the regular. Okay.
All the time, all the time. If you go to one of the bars in Hoboken, you might see him.
All right.
All peppered out. Yeah. So
I'm glad I asked you that question in the chat, man. Who knows if we would have got to this or not.
but
that's October 5th. Festival.
October 5th, going to be the biggest pepper festival of all time. The second annual Pepper Fest. We have some big sponsors coming out. We have drinks, food, hot peppers. You don't have to eat any hot peppers, but you get to watch people eat hot peppers.
That's got to be fun too. So here's what I got. It says contest chili peppers include Carolina Reaper, anything that is called a Reaper. Do you understand the Grim Reaper gang? That's someone that comes when they're taking you away. You're dead. So you call something you're going to put in your body and eat a Reaper. That's then you have ghost pepper and dragon's breath. These would be things you should not ingest. I'm just saying, public service announcement. I have no clinical background in whether you should or should not eat these peppers, but I'm just saying, if you're an adult and you're over 18, eat whatever you want, I guess. This is funny for me.
Yeah, these peppers are definitely FDA approved.
Yeah, they are FDA approved. Yes, you can eat them. Eat them all you want. Just don't put them in my iced coffee. All right. So let's talk about your team, because I know how important that is to you. Team culture. Yeah. Obviously, you guys have a lot of fun, but team culture and your vision of this organization. You said global. I love that word. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. I mean, the team is everything. I've been learning that over the past 5 years. Like Computers for People is the first company that I ever worked at. So I never really knew what a company culture should or would look like. Yeah. But I've been able to talk with so many people and really build it over time. So we've built a great team here at C4P. And now it's not only in New Jersey, we don't have one office, but we have another office in Boston. So we have employees in both locations.
And you go
working
back and forth.
I go back and forth every week, pretty much now. I drive back and forth, but focusing on the team, it's from a really widespread of different people. People that have gotten computers from us before have signed on to be interns, volunteers, and some of them even employees at C4P. Whether it's recycling, helping to refurbish, pick up computers, helping more on the computers class side. We teach 2 in-person classes every day across, 3 boroughs in New York City as well as New Jersey.
What are those classes? Let's talk about that. What do they teach?
Yeah. We like all the basics of a computer. Like most people think that if you're watching this right now, you know how to turn on a computer, you know how to get on. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to turn on a computer or how to create an email address or all of those basic skills that you need.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we work with an organization called the Fortune Society in New York City. And we work with people that are, formerly incarcerated. And many, we had one gentleman who actually came to our fundraiser event in May, and he was incarcerated for 35 years.
Right. So there was no internet when he went in.
Yeah. Well, there were computers, but
right.
You would not be able to tell that this is also a computer, right? You get out and you see this thing.
Yeah, right.
How do I even get one of those? How do I buy one? How do I use it?
But it's like being from another planet. It's like all of a sudden, for 35 years and what's gone on, being dropped onto this planet and go, here, now you're in this paradigm. That's got to be unbelievable for somebody to have to learn that stuff.
Totally. And there's a lot of initiatives coming out of the woodwork saying like, hey, we should really, be teaching digital skills and all these things, in the prison, not when they get out.
Right. Sure.
But we work with a lot of people that are formerly incarcerated, and we have given them, given a lot of computers away, and also done a lot of training classes to teach people how to use computers. And hundreds of them have been able to get jobs because, now they're able to create a resume and apply for a job in Indeed. And that's all because they have access and they're connected.
I love that. Access. You keep saying that word access, right? And I keep using that word bridge. So I love that. We're going to run out of time, which we do on the show. It's kind of how the show goes. We run out of time before we run out of words. I've always said that. So I want to get from you. First, I want to talk about this whole thing about people who are formerly incarcerated. I love that we're giving them, these individuals, once they've served their time, now they're part of society. Let's get them back. Let's get them the training and opportunities they need. Couple quick things. What do you need? And when do I get a green vest like you have on? Those are two. You answer them in whatever order you want.
Those are great questions and both equally important.
Thank you.
But to start, if anyone has computers or they work at a company where they possibly get a laptop or see desktops or technology around them in an office, please go and ask, hey, can we donate this technology when it's at end of life or when we're not using it anymore? And Computers for People, you just go to our website, computersforpeople.org, fill out a very simple form. We come pick up for free, give you a tax write-off, wipe all of the data, and then we provide it to people in need, and we can tell who actually it went to and how it impacted them.
It's very interesting to the organ donor. Not that it's the same, but what you were saying that very interesting because it's a life-changing situation, right?
I model it after like blood donation. I work with the New York Blood Center, and their technology is really cool. You donate blood, and then a month later you get an email saying it went to the New York Presbyterian Hospital to do blah blah blah.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be the same thing in the technology world.
What else? Anybody else? I'm sorry to rush you, but anybody else that we should get you connected to? Anything else other than I have computers? Who else do you want to work with? Other organizations, other nonprofits?
Yeah, totally. We want to work with more nonprofits. We want more nonprofit partners so that we can get the computers to communities in need. So if you have a nonprofit, please reach out to us. We have a partner form on our website. And then also foundations and individuals that want to get involved to support our cause. The more funding we have, the more we can invest it in systems to multiply our impact by like 100 times.
Love it. And that's what it's got to be. Got to be continue to multiply. I'm looking on the website now. There's PC team building courses. There's digital courses. Go to the website, computersforpeople.org. I want to get my kids plugged into some of the building classes you do because it's a good thing. I can't let this question go unanswered. When we started the show, before we even went live, we talked about that is some vest. What's the deal with the vest? Where is that standard issued? What's the story?
Oh yeah, these are custom. No, it's the other side. Custom Computers for People vests with unlock access to the digital world on the back. Tommy, we got to get you one of these.
Listen, bro. I a whole jumpsuit would be great. Like if you have a whole thing, I wear the whole thing. Whatever you want me to do. I'll dress like a pepper. Don't feed me peppers. That's my new hashtag. Hashtag no peppers for me. But but definitely vest. Vest, no peppers. What do you want to leave them with? We got to go, my brother. What else can we leave them with before we head out?
Access is everything. It should be a human right. Let's make it one.
Love it. Dude, I'm so fired up to have known you or to know you now. Glad I met you. Shout out to the New York City Imagine Awards. If it wasn't for Ken Serini and his vision, you and I probably don't meet this way. Make it a great day, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. Thanks so much. Later.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.